Quantum Soulmates, we had already, and these are 5-day programs. We had a lady from Australia fly in, so people come in from those ones too. That was packed, and that was cool because some of the people, well, for about 50% of the people had been through Quantum Mind Mastery a month before, so they kind of had their head prepped. Right. About 40% of the people in the room had been listening to the modules for Deep. So when they came into Quantum Soulmates, they had already dug in. And we said this was the deepest Quantum Soulmates we'd ever done. Wow. People were willing to go deeper, look at deeper issues, and really find out why have they been recreating the same crappy relationship, or why are they getting stuck in a relationship with this, and what happens. And so we had people just on fire with clarity about, oh, now I get why I've done relationships the way I've done them, what the heck has been going on, and now exactly what to do in order to attract the right person. Because, I don't care who you are, I don't care how pretty you are, how good looking you are, or how not good looking you are. If you don't clear that stuff, you're going to keep attracting the same kind of people.
Right.
And they got it. And so they've really got clear on how to attract, and we put that in process so they're attracting what it is that they want.
Nice.
Dramatic shift.
Very exciting. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the Quantum Soulmates.
Yeah.
And can you just give a quick review of what the love equation is?
Yeah, everybody, the love equation is that everybody has a way in which they have equated love to be. So we have something called love strategies, which is a way that you specifically need certain things to show up in order for you to feel loved, right? And those are certain strategies delivered in a certain way. But a love equation is something else again. So a love equation is based on history. And what that means is certain things happen, and you've made up that is what happens when you fall in love. So I'll give you a version of it from the program. You meet a person, you go gaga, you fall in love. Okay, first part of the equation. So you plus a person, first part of the equation.
Right.
Fall in love, next part of the equation. As things go along, they do things that hurt you or disappoint you. Hurt and disappointment that it gets buried or repressed now becomes resentment, anger, frustration. Next part of the equation. So we've got person, love, disappointment, hurt, anger, frustration. Next part of the equation, right?
Yeah.
Numbness, because we usually go numb for a while, rather than fighting it, we get fed up with it and we go numb, right? And then end of the relationship. So if that's somebody's love equation, what they do is they go, there's no point in falling in love because I'll just end up numb anyway.
Right.
So what happens is the brain, the mind, because the mind is always looking to protect us, fast forwards and says, listen, no point in falling in love. So this is why we get fearful about falling in love, because we've got these dummy equations. Right. Because what happens is we're basing all the equations on the worst, all the potential is based on the worst possible outcome. Now, what happens with that is...
Plus, you've already projected it into the future.
Yeah, you got it. So we projected it into the future. So now, because the mind works in polarity, it goes the other way. So first of all, it projects everything into the future based on history. So it says, well, you dated Susie, or you dated John, or you married John, or you married Susie, and you went from meeting them to falling in love, and then they disappointed you and let you down, and then you ended up in frustration and anger and pain, and then you ended up fighting, and then you went numb, and then you broke up. That was how it worked, right? So no point in going there because it's just going to be the same. That's the first equation.
Right.
The second part of the equation is the polarity of the equation. So the polarity of the equation is, oh, this one will be different. So what it says is it's either going to be exactly the same or it's going to be polar opposite. And the problem with that is that's part of our conditioning. The problem with that is, I'll give you an example. During the program, I asked, there was a place, and it was about halfway through the program. It's a 5-day program. So about halfway through the program, I said to people, put your hand up if some of the things I've told you, you're kind of running in your head, I should know that. Why don't I know that? right? And people put up their hands, like, more than 50%, almost everybody put up their hands, felt like they should have known a lot of the stuff that they were that I was sharing with them. And I said, now keep your hand up if you're embarrassed that you didn't know it. And everybody kept up their hand. Now I said, why would you be embarrassed? And people gave their answers and all the rest of it. But I said, think of it this way. I want you to think of it that you're all from Vancouver, Canada. Okay, we're just making that up. It's not true. There was a mixed group, but let's just say that. And let's say you're all from Vancouver, Canada, and therefore your first language is what?
English.
English. Now, I pick all of you up and I dump you separately in Tokyo. You don't know where the other people are, but I dump you in Tokyo. Are you embarrassed that you can't speak Japanese?
No.
Of course not. And I said, well, why? Why wouldn't you be embarrassed?
Well, because I speak English and I'm from Vancouver.
And you're in a Japanese country and there's no reason for you to know it. Right? Now I said, now let's have somebody come up to you and say, why don't you speak Japanese? Are you going to be embarrassed that you don't speak Japanese?
Of course not.
No, you're just going to say, I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing with relationships. We have this assumption that we should know, but we don't know. We just don't know. And nobody's ever shown us how to have healthy, loving relationships. But we're embarrassed that we don't know. And part of the embarrassment is from this. The way we're conditioned is that the reason your relationship hasn't worked is because you haven't found the right one yet.
Right.
Huge mistake.
Right.
So what we say is, of course I had a crappy relationship, but I dated an asshole.
Yeah.
Or the last person I was married to was a biatch. And it's not true. What it is that we're going in with no skills. And so what we do is we bring out the worst in each other rather than bringing out the best in each other. So the truth is,